Saskatchewan's advocate for children and youth, Corey O'Soup, joins me now to talk about his report. Thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me today.
So you had a strategy that you outlined, a 5-year strategy last year. You've gone through year 1. How did it go?
You know what? I think we're starting to make some positive change in the lives of children and youth here. We really wanted to focus on being preventative in nature and solutions-based in nature, and I think we're starting to achieve that.
Tell me about the highlights of the report, because I noticed that that's a pretty significant part of the report.
You know, we really wanted to focus on some of the amazing things that our children and youth are doing, some of the amazing things that people that work with our youth are doing, and those were the things that we really wanted to focus on. Of course, there are some challenges that we still have to address, and we will do that as well.
What are some of the ones that come to mind, though, when you talk about highlights and the positives?
You know, one of the ones that that really drives me is the photography club in Pine House in northern Saskatchewan. I know there's been some media on that, but we've gotten to know Dre pretty good, and his heart and his desire for change in the youth in northern Saskatchewan is amazing. And he's literally saving kids' lives by just simply putting a camera in their hands.
How important was it for you to put the positives in that report?
You know, it's probably the most important thing that we can focus on right now is the positives. We know the numbers are there, we know the deaths are there, we know the injuries are there, we know we're way overrepresented by Indigenous children in care, but I want to focus on how do we change all of that. And we can't change it if we continue to just focus on the numbers, but we need to focus on preventative solutions, positive solutions, and that's why it was the most important thing for me to do.
What role does social media play in engaging the youth?
You know, social media is probably the most important way that we can actually reach our youth. I mean, we go into schools and do the face-to-face, but the way that kids are talking and the way that they're engaging with each other is through social media. So this year we actually hired a staff member to focus specifically on social media.
Where are we falling short when it comes to our province's youth?
You know, I believe the most important thing that we can do is we can listen to them. And I think that's the place where we fall short the most is actually just sitting down and having a conversation with them and recognizing that there's more to them than video games, more to them than drugs and alcohol, more to them than just being lazy, that if we actually listen to them, they will give us the solutions, they will provide us with a path forward, and they are the ones that are going to show us the way out of the conditions that they're in.
We do have to talk about the serious stuff, and of course the deaths are a part of the report, and the leading cause of identified death among children in Saskatchewan is suicide with 8. That's a really hard number to read.
You know, it went up from 2 last year to 8 this year, which is a pretty significant increase, and I attribute it to, I truly believe that mental health is the #1 issue facing our youth in Saskatchewan today. Not just Indigenous youth, but all youth. It doesn't matter whether you live on a farm, whether you live in a city, on a reserve, or in a small town. I believe that mental health is the biggest issue, and the end result of that is these young people taking their own lives.
You are putting out a special report, I noticed, specifically about mental health, and there's a conference coming up next month. Tell me about that.
Yeah, you know what? We're really excited about the conference. It's on May 9th and 10th. It's called Now in My Day. It's youth-led. It was youth-driven. They were the committee members. They're the ones that pick the sessions. They're the ones that are actually emceeing. They're the panelists. They're the guest speakers. Everything is going to be about them. And the whole idea is that the adults in the room need to really close their mouths, open their hearts, and open their ears and listen to what our youth have to say on the specific topic of mental health. And they will inspire you, they will amaze you, they will show you the way out.
Where do we go from here?
You know, I think the most important thing that we can do is we can invest in our children and our youth. I would say particularly our Indigenous children and youth, because most of the issues facing the kids here in Saskatchewan are focused around our Indigenous children and youth. That doesn't mean other kids get left behind. It just means that we need to really invest in those kids specifically, and everybody else will come alongside them.
Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Sam.